Hi, my name is Bjoern Lanwer, and this is Bev Live. We It's the 2nd of December. It's getting closer to Christmas. Everybody hopefully had a fantastic Thanksgiving holiday with great people, great food, uh, great football, great soccer on Friday after Thanksgiving. Here we are. Back and talking about wine and all the great things that come with wine, like great food. So we, over the last weeks, have talked to quite a lot of people, a lot of the viewers, and asked, what do you want to see and what can we do to make it interesting for you? And one of the things that pretty much everybody said was education. It's like we don't know a huge amount about wine. We do not know what to do when we are at a restaurant. We don't know what to buy when we go to the wine store and buy something for a party. We need education. Wine is one of those things that is somewhat intimidating for people, and people just kind of feel lost and don't really know what to buy. So we're trying to help with that. So we're starting an educational series where we talk about wine, we talk about food that goes with wine, so that we kind of help you out a little bit. And first things that we want to do on the show is to talk about the different varietals. We talk about Riesling, Chardonnay, and then more like, also maybe like Albarino or Chenin Blanc or whatever else is out there. And, on the red side, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, Merlot, Malbec. So that when you come to these decisions, what to buy, you have at least some knowledge. And so today's our first show. We're going to be focusing on Riesling. Most of these shows are also going to be a little shorter than what we have done in the past. We kind of aim for like 20 minutes in the past. So on these shows, we are going to be looking at a shorter time period so that you can kind of, whenever you need to know something about something, you just, go through our menu, look at the different shows and quickly find something and study up on it. So without further ado, like I said, Riesling. Riesling is what we're talking about today. And being German, Riesling is something I'm very excited about, but it's also something that's just very misunderstood. When people think about Riesling, they think about, well, it's this lower alcohol, sweet wine that I'm not too excited about. A lot of people think that way, and they could not be, well, I don't want to say they could not be more wrong, but there's more to Riesling than meets the eye. Riesling is maybe with Pinot Noir the most versatile when it comes to food. There are all kinds of different Riesling. That's why it's very, very confusing. A lot of Riesling is dry. That's like your favorite Chardonnay, maybe dry, or whatever other variety you like. A lot of German Riesling specifically actually is dry. And so when you look for a Riesling, don't just expect it to be sweet. There's some really sweet dessert Riesling out there, but it goes the whole spectrum. You then also have very like bone dry, no residual sugar, bone dry. And when I say dry, that means no sugar. Riesling that has nothing to do with when you think about Riesling and it being sweet. So there's the whole range from super dry, no sugar, to ridiculously sweet but delicious. And when people talk about Riesling, they think Germany. That's kind of the country Germany is known for its Riesling. But there are also several other countries that make amazing Riesling. I'm thinking about Australia, for example. The style is slightly different in Australia, but amazing Rieslings being made there. And then here in the US, we think Washington State, for example. So But how do you know what to buy? The Germans have a whole system in place, and I'm not going to go into any detail here that tells you kind of how sweet it is. But without knowing German or the terminology, you're not going to get very far. One thing that you can do is like a little hack to figure out the sweetness of a wine or Riesling is to look at the alcohol percentage. So for those of you who pay attention in chemistry class, is the way you make alcohol is by the yeast eating up the sugars. And the longer you ferment, the more sugar is being consumed and turned into alcohol. So what does that mean? It means that higher alcohol Riesling is going to be drier because all that sugar has been consumed by the yeast. And so when you go into a store and see a Riesling with, like, let's say 13%, 12.5%, it's most likely going to be dry. Some exception, it could be a little bit off dry maybe, but if you're looking at something that's 12 to 13% in the Riesling category, then it's going to be dry. Then you have the more mass marketed ones at like 9, well, not necessarily, but often the ones that are like 9.5, 10%. You will see those a lot. Those are off dry, slightly sweet. And I think that's what a lot of people think of when they think Riesling. They think of those wines. And one is not necessarily better or worse than the other. It's just a different style. And then you have wines that are like 7.5%. They usually come in these small little bottles. They almost look golden. It's like liquid gold, pretty much. It is an amazing dessert Riesling. I'm thinking like ice wine and the likes. So you go from like 12.5, 13% all the way down to like 7, 6.5%, and you have quite a spectrum of different styles there. Another thing that Riesling is known for is acidity, and acidity works well with food. So Riesling is a really good food wine. The acidity kind of cuts through like the fatty dishes. So if you have like some fatty dishes, the acidity of that Riesling will kind of cut through that, and it goes really, really well. Also goes well with spicy food. So if you have some Thai food and you're trying to find a wine to go with it, don't necessarily go with a Chardonnay. Go with a beer if you like, but also like on the wine side, go with a high acid wine, and that would be Riesling. Because of that acid, Riesling also ages very, very well. The high acid levels help the wine age, so Riesling stays good for quite some time. And obviously, it depends on the quality of the Riesling that you are buying. It really depends, but in general, Riesling ages quite well. Riesling also, just like Pinot Noir, goes with a huge amount of dishes. I just mentioned Thai food, for example, or spicier food, or fatty dishes. So there's a huge range of different foods that work well with Riesling. Riesling is really, really liked by sommeliers. If you go to some of the best restaurants in the world, they will tell you like how much they like Riesling. And so next time you're out shopping on BevLive or any other platform, or in your local supermarket or wine store or restaurants, try some Riesling. Try it out. Talk to the sommelier. They will be impressed when you talk about alcohol levels and the likes and sweetness levels. So show some of your knowledge if you like. Don't be concerned about not knowing enough. If you do know the few things I just told you, you'll be just fine with Riesling. So this was our first show on the educational part of BevLive. We'll be doing many, many more of these. Most will be like 5-6 minute shows. This one was a little bit longer since I talked about our plans, but look out for some of these shows if you're looking at trying to learn something about wine. I hope everybody's going to have a great evening, a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye.